I pulled into my driveway at 7:30, the day's weight pressing down on my shoulders like wet concrete. 58 years old, and I still felt every hour spent at the Sinclair Agro Solutions plant in my lower back. The fertilizer business doesn't sleep, especially during planting season. Farmers depend on us. I've built something real over 30 years, a company that matters, that feeds people, that employs 243 souls who trust me to keep the lights on. The house was dark except for the porch light. I'd been living alone since Piper and I divorced 3 years ago. Clean split, no drama, just two people who'd grown in different directions. We still talked, still respected each other. That was rare, I knew. I grabbed my briefcase and climbed out of the truck. My knees popped. Everything pops now. Then I saw Jason's BMW in the street. My gut tightened. Jason never just dropped by. Every visit came with an agenda, a complaint, a crisis he'd manufactured through his own recklessness. 32 years old and still acting like the world owed him a favor. I unlocked the front door and found them in my living room. Jason paced near the fireplace, all nervous energy and clenched fists. Melanie sat on my couch, one hand resting on her visibly pregnant belly, her face arranged in that particular expression I'd come to recognize, calculated sympathy mixed with steel. "Dad." Jason's voice was tight. "We need to talk." I set my briefcase down. "Hello to you too, Melanie?" She nodded, her smile thin. "Joseph, sorry to ambush you like this." No, she wasn't. "What's going on?" I moved to the kitchen, poured myself water. My mouth was dry. I already knew this conversation would be bad. Jason followed me. "I need your help. Financial help." "How much?" $250,000. I nearly choked on the water. "Excuse me?" "By tomorrow morning." I set the glass down carefully. "Jason, that's not help. That's a ransom. It's urgent." His jaw was set, defensive. The development deal I told you about. The commercial property in Oakwood. It's finally happening, but I need liquid capital to close. The opportunity won't wait. I'd heard about this deal. Jason had been chasing it for 8 months, convinced it would make him wealthy, important, independent. He'd borrowed heavily already. I'd warned him to slow down, to verify everything, to not overextend. He'd ignored me. "You're asking me to wire $250,000 by tomorrow morning with no documentation, no contract review, nothing? I don't have time for your lectures." His voice rose, sharp and hostile. "This is real. This is my future. Our future." He gestured toward Melanie in the next room. "Before we go any further, take a second to subscribe, hit the hype button, and like the video. It really helps the channel grow. And tell us in the comments, what would you do in this situation?" I kept my voice level. "Then show me the paperwork. Let me have my attorney review it. If it's legitimate, we'll talk." "There's no time." "Then there's no money." Melanie appeared in the doorway. Her timing was too perfect. "Joseph, please. We're trying to build something here. We're starting a family." She touched her stomach again, a gesture I now understood was completely tactical. "Your grandchild deserves stability. Don't you want that?" Something old and painful twisted in my chest. A memory surfaced, uninvited but crystal clear. My father, 2 years before he passed, sitting across from me at this same kitchen table, his voice low and serious. "Joseph, that woman is poison. Don't marry her." He'd meant Piper. He'd been wrong about Piper. She was many things, but never poison. But looking at Melanie now, with her manufactured concern and weaponized pregnancy, I heard my father's warning echo differently. He'd recognized something I was only now beginning to see. "Melanie," I said carefully, "I understand you're expecting. Congratulations. But asking me to hand over that kind of money overnight, with no verification, no due diligence, that's not stability. That's panic." "It's opportunity." Jason slammed his hand on the counter. "Why can't you just support me for once? Why do you always have to control everything?" "I'm not controlling anything. I'm asking basic questions." "You're sabotaging me." His face was red now, veins visible in his neck. "You've never believed in me. Never. You built your company and you want me to stay small, stay dependent, so you can feel superior." The accusation was so divorced from reality that I almost laughed. Almost. "Jason, I've offered you a position at the company 12 times. You refused every time." "Because I don't want to work for you. I want to build something of my own." "Then build it, but build it smart. Build it sustainable. Don't gamble $250,000 on desperation." Melanie's expression shifted, hardened. "How can you be so cold? We're family. Your son is asking for help, and you're treating him like a stranger." "I'm treating him like an adult." An adult you don't trust, Jason spat. Fine, I get it. I've always gotten it. You look at me and see failure. You always have. That stung because it wasn't true, but defending myself would only feed his narrative. He wanted me to argue, to give him ammunition for his victimhood. Let me think about it, I said quietly. Give me tonight. I'll call you in the morning. By then, it'll be too late. Then I guess you'll have to find another solution. The silence that followed was volcanic. Jason stared at me with pure hatred. Melanie's face remained composed, but her eyes were calculating, measuring, planning something. Come on, Jason. She stood gracefully despite her pregnancy. Your father has made his position clear? They left without another word. I watched through the window as Jason peeled away from the curb, tires squealing. I stood in my kitchen for a long time, water glass forgotten, staring at nothing. My phone buzzed. A text from Piper. Heard Jason was heading your way. Everything okay? I texted back, call you in 10. But first, I needed to make another call. My attorney, Graham Pierce, answered on the third ring. Joseph, it's almost 9. Sorry, emergency. I need you tomorrow morning, first thing. What kind of emergency? The kind where I cut my son off completely. Graham was quiet for a moment. I'll be there at 7. I hung up and dialed Piper. That bad? She answered. Worse. He wants $250,000 by tomorrow morning. She whistled low. For the Oakwood deal? That's what he claims. Joseph, that deal is toxic. I looked into it last month when he mentioned it. The developer he's working with has 3 lawsuits pending. The property is encumbered. The whole thing smells wrong. I figured he won't show me paperwork because there probably isn't any. Or if there is, it's fraudulent. Piper's voice was sharp, professional. She'd built a career on financial consulting, on seeing through exactly this kind of scheme. He's desperate, which means he's already in deep. How deep? I don't know for certain. But Jason's never been good with money, and Melanie's expensive tastes don't help. If I had to guess, he's leveraged to the breaking point. I rubbed my face. He brought her tonight. Let her play the pregnancy card. Of course he did. That's her specialty. Emotional manipulation wrapped in victim packaging. You sound like you've seen this before. Joseph, I've seen her in action since Jason started dating her. She's brilliant at it. She finds pressure points and pushes until people break. And Jason... She paused. Jason's weak. He always has been. Not in a pitiful way, but in a dangerous way. Weak people do terrible things when they're cornered. He's my son. I know. But he's also a grown man making catastrophic choices, and you can't save him from himself. I'm not trying to save him. I'm trying to protect myself. Good. What's your plan? Graham's coming at 7. I'm going to shut down every access point Jason has to me, to the company, to anything with my name on it. Credit lines, corporate accounts, the house. The house? I'm still on the deed. Silent owner. A part of the divorce settlement. You got the cabin. I kept Jason's house as an investment property. He doesn't know. Never reads contracts. Piper let out a sharp, delighted laugh. Joseph Sinclair, you calculating menace? I learned from the best. Damn right. Listen, if you need financial forensics, documentation, anything to lock this down legally, call me. I'll help. Thank you. And Joseph? Don't feel guilty. Whatever happens next, remember. He chose this, not you. We said goodbye. I poured myself 2 fingers of bourbon and sat in my study until midnight, thinking through every angle, every vulnerability, every way Jason might try to retaliate. Because he would retaliate. I knew my son. Rejection would make him vicious. At 1 a.m., I went to my safe, pulled out the deed to Jason's house, and set it on my desk where I could see it. Then I wrote a letter. Simple, direct, devastating. When I finished, I sealed it in an envelope and wrote on the front, "Open when he screams." I would leave it on the porch tomorrow after I changed the locks. The war was coming. I just decided to fire the first shot. Graham arrived at 6:50, holding 2 coffees and a leather portfolio. We sat in my kitchen while dawn light crept through the windows. Talk to me, he said, setting a legal pad between us. I laid it out, every detail. The demand, the timeline, Melanie's manipulation, Jason's hostility, Piper's research on the Oakwood deal. Graham made notes, his expression professionally neutral. When I finished, he looked up. You want to cut him off completely. Completely. Including the house. Especially the house. He tapped his pen against the pad. That'll escalate things. Fast. I know. He'll accuse you of destroying him. He'll be right. Graham studied me for a long moment. You've thought this through. All night. All right, here's what we do. He flipped to a fresh page. First, I contact every financial institution where you've extended credit or co-signed. We revoke authorization immediately. Second, we restructure Sinclair Agro Solutions corporate documents to remove Jason's name from any succession or advisory clauses. You added him 3 years ago as a gesture, and we're removing that gesture. Third, we file notice with the county about the house deed. He's a tenant, not an owner. Fourth, we prepare cease and desist documentation in case he attempts any kind of sabotage or harassment. Can we do all that today? By noon. Graham smiled thinly. I've been waiting for this call, Joseph. Honestly, I've watched Jason circle the drain for 2 years. I'm surprised you held out this long. Fatherhood makes you stupid. Fatherhood makes you hopeful. There's a difference. He stood. I'll start making calls. You should change your locks. And Joseph? Don't answer if Jason calls. Let him spiral. Give me time to lock everything down legally before you engage again. He left. I called a locksmith. By 9 a.m., my house had new locks. By 10, Graham texted, "First wave complete, bank authorizations revoked, corporate documents in progress." I made myself breakfast and waited. The call came at 11:15. Jason's name lit up my phone. I let it ring. Voicemail notification. I didn't listen. 3 more calls in the next hour. Then silence. At 2 p.m., Graham returned with a stack of documents. Sign here, here, and here. Everything's done. Jason Sinclair is now legally isolated from your assets and your company. If he wants money, he'll have to earn it somewhere else. I signed. My hand was steady. One more thing? Graham pulled out a final document. Piper sent this over. Financial forensics on Jason's current debt situation. She's good. I read through it. My stomach dropped. Jason owed $470,000 across 6 different creditors. The Oakwood deal wasn't an opportunity. It was a Hail Mary attempt to cover catastrophic losses. He'd been gambling with borrowed money for 18 months. The house was mortgaged twice. His car was leased through a predatory lender. Even Melanie's credit cards were maxed. He's drowning, I said quietly. Beyond drowning. He's already underwater. The question is whether he takes anyone else down with him. I thought about the $250,000 he'd demanded. It wouldn't have saved him. It would have only delayed the inevitable by 2 months, maybe 3. He knows, I said. He knows it's over. That's why he was so desperate last night. Probably, which makes him dangerous. Graham closed his portfolio. Watch yourself, Joseph. Desperate men do irrational things. After he left, I sat in my study and finished the letter I'd started at 1 a.m. It was simple. 3 paragraphs. The first explained that I'd revoked all financial connections between us. The second listed the debts I'd discovered and stated clearly that I would not cover them. The third was personal. You're my son, Jason, but I won't enable your self-destruction. If you want a future, build it. But build it without my money and without my company. You're on your own now. I hope you find clarity. Dad. I sealed it, wrote "Open when he screams" on the front, and set it aside. At 4 p.m., I drove to Jason's house. His BMW wasn't there, but Melanie's sedan was. I left the envelope on the doorstep, visible and unavoidable. Then I went home and waited for the explosion. It came at midnight, pounding on my door. Jason's voice, ragged and furious. "Open up! Dad, open up!" I stayed in my bedroom, lights off. More pounding. "I know you're in there. You changed the locks. You gutted my accounts. What the hell did you do?" I heard Melanie's voice, quieter but present. "Jason, stop. The neighbors—" "I don't care about the neighbors. Dad!" Silence. Then Jason's voice again. Different now. Broken. Please just talk to me. I need to understand. I need—" His voice cracked. I heard him sink down on the porch, his back against my door. For a moment, just a moment, I almost opened it. Then Melanie spoke, her voice cutting through his despair like a blade. "Get up. He's not worth it. He never was." Footsteps, a car door, engine starting, they left. I stood in the darkness of my bedroom, listening to the silence, and felt nothing but cold certainty. The war had begun. 3 days passed. Jason didn't call. Graham reported that Jason had tried to access 2 company accounts and been denied. Piper texted. Heard through mutual friends that Melanie's family is furious. Apparently they didn't know about the debts either. I focused on work. The plant was in full production mode. Orders stacked up through summer. I buried myself in logistics, quality control meetings, distributor negotiations, anything to keep moving. but I knew the silence wouldn't last. On Thursday evening, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Joseph Sinclair, a woman's voice, professional but cold. Speaking. This is Patricia Cole from Westside Medical Center. We have your son Jason here. He's listed you as his emergency contact. My chest tightened. What happened? He's stable. Minor injuries. But there was an incident at his residence. The police are involved. He's asking for you. I gripped the phone. I'll be there in 20 minutes. The hospital was 15 minutes away. I made it in 12. Jason sat in an examination room, a bandage wrapped around his left hand, his face bruised on one side. A police officer stood nearby taking notes. Jason looked up when I entered. His eyes were hollow. Dad. What happened? The officer answered. Domestic disturbance. Neighbors called it in. Mr. Sinclair here put his hand through a window. His wife is fine, unharmed, but she's requested he not return home tonight. We're recommending a cooling-off period. I looked at Jason. You hit Melanie? No. He stood, wincing. I would never. Dad, we were arguing, and He gestured helplessly. I lost control. I hit the wall, then the window. I didn't touch her, I swear. The officer's expression suggested he'd heard this story before. Nevertheless, sir, we're advising separation for at least 48 hours. Where's he supposed to go? He mentioned you. I felt the trap closing. Jason stared at me with desperate, pleading eyes. Fine. He can stay at my place. Tonight only. The officer nodded. We'll need contact information. And Mr. Sinclair will be filing a report. If there's another incident, it'll affect any future proceedings. Jason nodded mutely. I drove him home in silence. He stared out the window, that bandaged hand resting in his lap like an accusation. When we reached my house, I unlocked the door, the new locks, and let him in. Guest room's upstairs. You remember. Thanks. He moved slowly, like he'd aged 10 years in 3 days. I made coffee. He sat at the kitchen table, the same table where he'd demanded $250,000 less than a week ago. Want to tell me what really happened? I asked. Jason's face twisted. She won't stop. Every conversation, every moment, she's on me. Fix it, Jason. Do something, Jason. You promised, Jason. She's pregnant and terrified, and she blames me for everything. Do you blame yourself? He looked up sharply. What? Simple question. Do you take responsibility for the debt, for the failed deal, for the position you're in? His jaw worked. I made mistakes, but you didn't help. You could have given me a chance. I gave you a chance. You squandered it. One chance. One investment. That's all I asked. Jason, you asked for $250,000 with 12 hours notice and no documentation. That's not a chance. That's a fantasy. He slumped. I thought it would work. I really did. Melanie believed in me. She said, Melanie believes in money, not you. His head snapped up. Don't talk about her like that. Why not? She's using you. She's used you from the start. And now that you're failing, she's making sure you know it. She's carrying my child. That doesn't make her a good person. Jason stood abruptly. I'm not doing this. I'm not sitting here while you disrespect my wife. Then leave. He stared at me. You're serious. Completely. You came here because you had nowhere else to go. I'm giving you a bed for one night, but I won't pretend your situation is anyone's fault but your own. And I won't pretend Melanie is some innocent victim. She's as responsible for this collapse as you are. You don't know her. I know enough. Jason walked to the stairs, paused. You've never forgiven me for not being perfect, for not being you. I've never asked you to be me. I asked you to be smart. There's a difference. He went upstairs without responding. I sat in the kitchen and drank my coffee cold. At 2 a.m., I heard him on the phone, his voice low, urgent. I know. I'll figure it out. Just give me time. No, I can't come home yet. He's not going to help. I don't know. Maybe if I... Listen, there's another option. Someone I met last month, an investor. Aggressive, but he has resources. Brock Henderson? Yeah. I know it's risky, but what choice do I have? Okay, I love you too. I stood in the hallway, listening. Brock Henderson. I knew that name. Everyone in business within 100 miles knew that name. Predatory investor, corporate raider, the kind of man who squeezed desperate people until they broke and then bought their assets for pennies. If Jason was talking to Brock Henderson, things were about to get much worse. Jason left early the next morning. No goodbye, just the sound of the front door closing. I called Piper. "Brock Henderson," I said when she answered. "Good morning to you, too." "Jason's talking to him. Late-night phone call, I overheard." She was quiet for a moment. "That's bad." "I know. Fill me in. Everything you know about Henderson." "He's a shark. Made his fortune buying distressed companies and asset stripping them. Commercial real estate, manufacturing, tech startups, doesn't matter. If you're desperate enough to take his money, he'll give it to you, but the terms are poison. He structures deals so that any failure triggers immediate ownership transfer. He's legally bulletproof because everyone signs willingly." "How many companies has he taken?" "In the last 5 years? 14. All of them ended up either liquidated or absorbed into his portfolio." I rubbed my temples. "So Jason's going to offer himself up as bait." "Probably. Henderson will offer him money, maybe even enough to cover his debts temporarily. But the moment Jason stumbles, Henderson will own everything, including anything Jason can use as collateral. He doesn't have collateral. I saw his finances. He has you." That stopped me. "What?" "Joseph, think about it. Jason is sinking fast. Henderson will offer him a lifeline. But Henderson doesn't care about Jason's house or car. He wants Sinclair Agro Solutions. Jason will use you and your company as leverage for the loan." "My father owns a manufacturing firm. It's valued at $20 million. If I can't pay, you can go after him." Something along those lines. A cold shock ran through me. He wouldn't. He absolutely would. Desperate people rationalize anything. Jason will convince himself it's just a contingency plan, that he'll never actually default, that it's all just paperwork. And Henderson will use that paperwork to get his hooks into you. Can he? Legally? Not directly. But he can create pressure. Lawsuits, liens, public claims. He can make your life expensive and complicated even if he doesn't win. And if Jason signs something particularly stupid, Henderson might find a crack to exploit. I thought about Jason's face last night. Hollow. Defeated. "He's going to do it," I said quietly. "He's going to tie me to his sinking ship." "Probably. So you need to move first. Lock down everything. Corporate liability insurance, legal fortifications, public statements distancing yourself from Jason's business dealings. Make it clear, loudly, officially, that Jason Sinclair acts independently and that Sinclair Agro Solutions bears no responsibility for his personal debts. That'll humiliate him publicly. Joseph, he's about to try dragging you into financial quicksand? Humiliation is the least of your concerns." She was right. I knew she was right. "I'll call Graham. Do it now, and Joseph, be ready. When Henderson enters the picture, things move fast. He doesn't waste time." We hung up. I immediately dialed Graham and explained the situation. "Damn it," he said. "Henderson's involved?" Jason mentioned him on a phone call last night. "Then we need to move immediately. I'll draft a public statement for Sinclair Agro Solutions website and send press releases to local business publications. Clear separation between you and Jason's activities. I'll also file supplementary corporate documents making it explicit that Jason has no authority to represent the company in any capacity." "How fast can you do this?" "Today. This morning. Give me 3 hours." "Do it." I spent those 3 hours at the plant, walking the facility, checking inventory, talking to floor managers, anything to keep my hands busy and my mind focused. At noon, Graham called. "Done. Statements live on your website. Press releases sent. Corporate documents filed with the state. You're legally firewalled from whatever Jason does next." "Thank you." "Joseph, there's something else. I did some digging on Henderson. He's been circling your industry for the last year. 3 fertilizer manufacturers in neighboring states. He's tried acquisitions on all of them. 2 succeeded. The 3rd is in litigation." My stomach dropped. He's targeting the industry. Specifically, he's targeting mid-sized operations like yours, big enough to be profitable, small enough to be vulnerable during market fluctuations. If he can get a wedge into Sinclair Agro Solutions through Jason, he'll use it. So Jason's not just desperate. He's potentially useful to Henderson's larger strategy. Exactly. Henderson might even be encouraging Jason's approach, feeding him hope, making promises, all while positioning him as a stalking horse to get at you. I closed my eyes. My son was being played, and he was too far gone to see it. What's my next move? Wait, let Jason make his play. When he does, crush it legally and move on. You can't save him from this, Joseph. You can only protect yourself. That night, I sat in my study with a glass of bourbon and stared at my phone. Part of me wanted to call Jason, warn him, tell him Henderson was using him. But another part, the colder, more analytical part, knew it wouldn't matter. Jason was past listening, past reason. He'd made his choice. Now I had to live with mine. At 10 p.m., my phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Mr. Sinclair, this is Brock Henderson. I believe we should meet. Your son has made me aware of your company. I'd like to discuss opportunities. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., my office downtown. Please confirm. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I forwarded it to Graham with one word. Advice? His response came immediately. Don't go alone. Don't commit to anything. Record everything. I'll be with you. I texted Henderson back. Confirmed. I'll bring my attorney. His response? Of course. See you then. I set the phone down and finished my bourbon. Tomorrow, I'd meet the man trying to destroy me, and I'd make sure he understood exactly who he was dealing with. Henderson's office occupied the top floor of a steel and glass tower downtown. Expensive view, expensive furniture, expensive silence. Graham and I were shown into a conference room that felt designed to intimidate. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. A table so polished I could see my reflection in it. Brock Henderson entered exactly at 2 p.m. He was 45, built like someone who spent serious time in a gym, wearing a suit that probably cost more than most people's monthly salary. His handshake was calculated, firm enough to establish dominance, brief enough to stay professional. Mr. Sinclair, thank you for coming. Mr. Henderson? And you must be Mr. Pierce. I've heard good things. Graham's smile was thin. I'm sure you have. We sat. Henderson folded his hands on the table, the picture of relaxed confidence. I'll be direct. Your son Jason has approached me about an investment opportunity. He's in a difficult financial position, but he's smart, ambitious, and has excellent connections. I'm considering helping him. How generous of you, I said. Henderson's smile didn't reach his eyes. Business is business, Mr. Sinclair. Jason needs capital. I have capital. The question is whether we can structure a deal that benefits everyone involved. What does this have to do with me? Your company, Sinclair Agro Solutions. Jason speaks very highly of it. He believes that with proper investment and expansion, it could dominate the regional market. I agree. My company isn't for sale. I'm not suggesting a sale. I'm suggesting a partnership, investment capital in exchange for equity. A minority stake, say 30%, with options for expansion if performance targets are met. I kept my face neutral. You want to buy into my company through my son. I want to create a mutually beneficial arrangement. Jason gets the capital he needs to stabilize his situation. You get investment funds to expand operations, upgrade equipment, increase market share. I get a return on my investment. Everyone wins. Graham spoke up. What are the terms if performance targets aren't met? Henderson turned to him. Standard provisions. If the company fails to hit agreed benchmarks, equity percentages adjust. If the company becomes insolvent, primary investors gain operational control to protect their capital. In other words, if things go wrong, you take over. If things go catastrophically wrong, yes, but that's standard in any investment deal. I'm sure you've seen similar contracts. I've seen contracts like this. They're designed to fail. The benchmarks are impossible. The definitions of insolvency are deliberately vague, and the investor walks away with the company for a fraction of its value. Henderson's expression cooled. That's a rather cynical interpretation. That's a realistic interpretation, and Mr. Sinclair isn't interested. Henderson looked at me. You're letting your attorney speak for you? He's speaking accurately, I said. I'm not interested in partnerships, investments, or any arrangement that gives you access to my company. Jason's financial problems are his own. They don't involve Sinclair Agro Solutions. Jason seems to think differently. He's listed the company as a family asset. Jason is wrong. He has no ownership stake, no operational role, and no authority to represent the company in any capacity. If he told you otherwise, he lied. Henderson leaned back. That's unfortunate. For him? The threat was clear. Mr. Henderson, Graham said, we're aware of your reputation. We're also aware that any attempt to leverage Jason's relationship to Mr. Sinclair as a means of pressuring Sinclair Agro Solutions will be met with immediate legal action. My client has already filed public statements and corporate documents making the separation explicit. If you proceed with any agreement based on false pretenses, you'll be liable. Henderson's smile returned, colder now. Gentlemen, I think you misunderstand my intentions. I'm not here to threaten anyone. I'm here to explore possibilities. If those possibilities don't appeal to you, that's fine. But Jason still needs help, and I'm still willing to provide it. What happens after that? He shrugged. That depends on Jason's choices. Not our problem, I said. We'll see. Henderson stood, effectively ending the meeting. Thank you for your time, Mr. Sinclair. If you change your mind, you have my contact information. We left. In the elevator, Graham exhaled slowly. That was a declaration of war, he said. I know. He's going to loan Jason money specifically to create leverage against you. The loan terms will be designed to force Jason into default, and when Jason defaults, Henderson will come after you claiming you're somehow responsible. Can he win? Not legally, but he can make it expensive and painful. Litigation, public relations campaigns, regulatory complaints. He'll throw everything at you hoping something sticks. Let him try. We reached the lobby. As we walked toward the exit, I saw a familiar figure near the building's coffee shop. Jason. He looked terrible. Unshaven, rumpled clothes, dark circles under his eyes. When he saw me, he froze. We stared at each other across the marble lobby. Then Jason turned and walked away quickly, disappearing into the crowd on the sidewalk. That answers that question, Graham said quietly. He's already signed with Henderson. Yeah. Joseph, this is going to get ugly. I know. We walked to my truck. I sat behind the wheel for a moment before starting the engine. Graham, if Henderson tries something, anything, I want full retaliation. Legal, public, financial, everything. I'm done being patient. Understood. I drove back to the plant and threw myself into work. Purchase orders, shipping schedules, supplier negotiations. Anything to keep my mind occupied. But that night, alone in my study, I finally let myself feel it. Grief, anger, betrayal. My son had chosen his path, and that path led directly into the jaws of a predator who would use him and discard him. I couldn't save Jason from himself, but I could make damn sure he didn't take me down with him. 2 weeks passed. The silence was worse than the confrontation. Graham reported that Jason had indeed signed with Henderson, a loan for $300,000 at 28% interest with a 6-month balloon payment. The terms were predatory, verging on criminal, but Jason had signed willingly. Piper dug deeper. Henderson's loan is secured against everything Jason has left. The house, the car, even future earnings. There's also a clause requiring Jason to provide business development assistance to Henderson's portfolio companies. Meaning what? Meaning Henderson now owns Jason, and he'll use him however he wants. I felt sick. At the plant, work continued. Spring planting season was brutal, and we were running 3 shifts to keep up with demand. I spent 14-hour days on site, making sure every order went out perfect. One afternoon, my production manager Eddie found me in the warehouse. Boss, got a weird situation. Guy showed up asking questions about our safety protocols, said he's from some consulting firm, wanted to tour the facility. Did you let him? No, asked for credentials. He got squirrely and left, but it felt off. Get me a description and his company name. Eddie pulled out his phone. Got a photo, security footage. He showed me. The man in the image was young, professional-looking, carrying a tablet. I forwarded the photo to Graham with a message. Recognize this person? Showed up at my plant asking about safety protocols. Graham called me 20 minutes later. That's Derek Voss. He works for Henderson. Corporate intelligence specialist. Henderson's investigating my facility? Looks like it. He's probably looking for vulnerabilities, safety violations, environmental issues, labor problems. Anything Henderson can use as leverage or ammunition. We're clean. I run a tight operation. I'm sure you do. But Henderson doesn't need real violations. He just needs something that looks questionable. A photo taken out of context, a misinterpreted procedure, an employee statement twisted the right way. He's building a case against me. He's building something. I'd recommend increasing security at the plant. Cameras, access logs, visitor screening. Make sure nothing happens that can be misrepresented later. I implemented everything Graham suggested. Upgraded security systems, mandatory ID checks for all visitors, daily safety audits documented and filed. The employees noticed. Eddie asked me directly, Boss, what's going on? This feels like we're preparing for an invasion. Just being cautious. We're entering summer season. High production volume means higher scrutiny. He didn't look convinced, but he didn't push. That weekend, I got a call from Melanie. Joseph, we need to talk. About what? About Jason. About everything. Please, can I come over? Something in her voice made me agree. Fine. Tomorrow afternoon. She arrived at 2, visibly pregnant now, moving carefully. I made coffee, decaf for her, and we sat in the living room. Thank you for seeing me, she said. What do you want, Melanie? She looked down at her hands. I want to apologize for how I acted, for pushing Jason, for everything. I waited. I thought I was helping him. I thought I was being supportive, but I was making it worse. I see that now. I pushed him when I should have pulled him back. I blamed you when the problem was us. She looked up, and there were actual tears in her eyes. I'm scared, Joseph. I'm 7 months pregnant, and my husband is falling apart. He's not sleeping. He's not eating. He sits in our house, your house, and stares at nothing. He talks to himself. And when I try to reach him, She touched her stomach. I'm afraid for the baby. I'm afraid of what Jason might do. I should have felt sympathy. Instead, I felt suspicion. What do you want me to do? Talk to him, please. He won't listen to me, but maybe he'll listen to you. Melanie, I tried talking to him multiple times. He made his choice. He's your son. And he's your husband. You're the one who pushed him toward Henderson. Her face hardened. I didn't push him anywhere. I wanted stability, security. Is that so wrong? You wanted money. There's a difference. How dare you? You've been using your pregnancy as a weapon since the day Jason walked into my house. Every conversation, every manipulation, every guilt trip, you've leveraged that baby like it's a bargaining chip. And now Jason's destroyed himself trying to prove he can provide for you, and you're sitting here pretending you're innocent. She stood. I came here hoping you'd help. I see that was a mistake. You came here hoping I'd write another check? The answer's still no. You're a cold, selfish man. Jason was right about you. And you're a manipulative leech. Jason deserves better than you, but he'll never figure that out. She left. I sat in the silence, hands shaking. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Jason, about the hollow look in his eyes. At 3 a.m., someone rang my doorbell. I grabbed my phone, checked the security camera. Jason stood on my porch, swaying slightly. I went downstairs, opened the door. He reeked of alcohol. Dad. Jason, you're intoxicated. I need to tell you something important. He stumbled inside. I caught him before he fell. Sit down. He collapsed on the couch. Henderson's planning something big. He told me. He said if I help him, he'll clear my debts. All of them. I just have to... Have to what? Jason's eyes were unfocused. Get him inside your plant. Show him around. Take pictures. He says he needs documentation. For investors. He says it's normal. But Dad, I don't think it's normal. I think he's going to use it against you. My chest tightened. When? Next week. Maybe. He hasn't told me exactly. But soon. He wants access. And he wants me to get it for him. And you're going to do it? Jason looked at me, tears streaming down his face. I don't know what else to do. I'm drowning, Dad. I'm so far underwater I can't even see the surface anymore. And everyone's yelling at me to swim, but I don't remember how. I don't. He put his head in his hands and sobbed. I should have felt pity, should have felt compassion. Instead, I felt cold calculation. Jason, go upstairs, sleep it off. We'll talk in the morning. You'll help me? We'll talk. He stumbled upstairs. I heard him collapse on the guest bed. I went to my study and called Graham. It's 4 a.m., he answered groggily. Henderson's planning to infiltrate the plant using Jason within the next week. How do you know? Jason just showed up intoxicated and told me. Graham was suddenly alert. That's actually helpful. If we know it's coming, we can prepare. Document everything, have security ready, make sure any attempt is captured on camera and recorded. If Henderson tries to fabricate evidence or manufacture problems, we'll have proof of the setup. I want to do more than that. Meaning, I want to use this. Let Jason bring Henderson into the plant. Let them think they're getting away with something, and then I want to catch them in the act and destroy them both. Graham was quiet for a moment. That's risky. If something goes wrong, nothing will go wrong. I'll control every variable. But I'm done playing defense. Henderson wants a war. I'll give him one, and I'll make sure he loses. All right. Let me think through the legal angles. We'll talk tomorrow. I hung up and sat in the darkness. Jason was upstairs, unconscious and broken. Henderson was out there planning his next move, and I was about to turn the tables on both of them. The war had been cold until now. It was about to go hot. Jason left before dawn. I heard him stumble down the stairs, the front door closed softly. I made coffee and planned. Graham arrived at 7 with a legal pad full of notes. Here's how we do this. First, you need Jason to commit to a specific date and time for Henderson's visit. Make him think you're cooperating. Second, we upgrade security specifically for that day. Covert cameras, audio recording, everything documented. Third, we have law enforcement on standby in case Henderson attempts anything criminal. Fourth, we prepare a comprehensive legal response packet ready to file the moment anything irregular happens. What if Jason backs out? Then we go to plan B, but I don't think he will. He's desperate enough to try anything. I called Jason at 9. He answered on the 5th ring, his voice rough. Dad? Come to the house tonight. 6 p.m. We need to talk. About what? About helping you, but you need to be sober and you need to be honest with me. Silence. Then, okay, I'll be there. He arrived at exactly 6, looking marginally more put together than last night. We sat in the kitchen. I remember what I said last night, he started. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. Jason, I'm going to help you, but I need complete honesty. When is Henderson planning to visit the plant? He blinked, surprised. You're serious? Completely. If Henderson wants to see the facility, I'll arrange it. But I need to know when, who's coming, and what his stated purpose is. Jason's face showed confusion mixed with desperate hope. He wants to come Friday, 3 p.m. He says he needs to evaluate operations for potential investment. Who's coming with him? Just him and Derek, his assistant. They want a full tour, processing areas, warehouse, storage, everything. And what does he really want? Jason hesitated. I think he's looking for problems. Safety issues, environmental concerns, anything he can use as leverage. He told me to point out anything that looks questionable. And you agreed to this? I didn't have a choice. You always have a choice, Jason. You just keep making bad ones. I let that hang for a moment. But I'll give you one more chance. Bring Henderson Friday at 3. I'll personally give him the tour, show him everything, and we'll see what happens. You're not angry? I'm furious, but I'm also pragmatic. Henderson's coming one way or another. Better to control the circumstances. Jason left looking confused but relieved. The moment his car pulled away, I called Graham. Friday, 3 p.m., Henderson and his assistant Derek. Perfect. I'll coordinate with security. And Joseph, I'm bringing in someone from the district attorney's office. Unofficially, just to observe. Why? Because if Henderson attempts fraud, evidence tampering, or corporate espionage, we want law enforcement aware from the start. Makes prosecution easier later. The next 3 days were intense preparation. We installed additional hidden cameras throughout the facility, audio recording devices in every major area, upgraded access logs. I briefed my management team without telling them why, just that we had important visitors Friday and everything needed to be perfect. Eddie pulled me aside Thursday afternoon. Boss, level with me. What's really happening? I trusted Eddie. He'd been with me for 12 years. Someone's trying to find dirt on us. Tomorrow they're visiting. I need everything documented, every procedure by the book, every safety protocol visible and active. His jaw tightened. Who? An investor named Brock Henderson. He's using my son to get access. Jason's working against you? Not by choice. He's desperate. Henderson's manipulating him. Eddie nodded slowly. We'll be ready. Nobody messes with this place. Friday arrived. At 2:45, I positioned myself in the front office. Graham sat nearby with a laptop connected to the security system. A man I didn't recognize, the DA's observer, stood in the back corner. At 3 p.m. exactly, Jason's BMW pulled into the parking lot. Henderson emerged, looking confident and predatory in an expensive suit completely inappropriate for a manufacturing facility. Derek followed, carrying a camera and tablet. They entered. Jason looked sick. Mr. Sinclair, Henderson said, extending his hand. Thank you for accommodating us. Mr. Henderson, Derek, welcome to Sinclair Agro Solutions. Shall we begin? Absolutely. Jason, you're welcome to join or wait here. I'll come, Jason said quietly. We started in the administrative area, then moved to the production floor. I explained every process in detail, mixing, processing, packaging, quality control. Henderson asked sharp questions. Derek took photos and video constantly. I made sure everything he captured was perfect. We moved to the warehouse, massive storage areas, inventory management systems, loading docks. Henderson's eyes scanned constantly, looking for anything irregular. He wouldn't find it. My facility was immaculate. After 90 minutes, we returned to the office. Henderson's expression showed frustration poorly hidden. Very impressive operation, Mr. Sinclair. Thank you. We take pride in our work. I noticed some of your storage containers are older models. There are newer, more efficient options available. Those containers meet all regulatory requirements and pass inspection annually. Still, for a facility this size, Upgraded equipment would improve efficiency significantly. I'll consider it. Henderson glanced at Derek, some unspoken communication passing between them. Derek scrolled through his tablet. Mr. Sinclair, during our tour I noticed several areas where safety signage appeared faded or positioned suboptimally. While not violations per se, they could constitute concerns for regulatory agencies. I smiled coldly. Those signs are inspected monthly and meet OSHA requirements exactly, but if you have specific concerns, please share them. We'll address them immediately. Henderson's face tightened. I'm simply noting observations. For your benefit. Of course. Anything else? The ventilation system in processing Area 3 seemed inadequate. That system was upgraded last year and exceeds EPA standards. I have documentation if you'd like to see it. That won't be necessary. We stood in silence for a moment. Henderson realized his fishing expedition had failed. Well, thank you for your time, Mr. Sinclair. You run a tight operation. I appreciate that. As they turned to leave, Derek made a show of checking his tablet again. Actually, Mr. Sinclair, I think I missed some photos in the storage area. Would it be possible to go back quickly? No, I said flatly. The tour's over. If you need additional documentation, submit a formal request through proper channels. Derek looked at Henderson. Henderson's expression went cold. That seems unnecessarily restrictive. My facility, my rules. You've seen what you came to see. Henderson stepped closer. His physical presence meant to intimidate. Mr. Sinclair, I'm trying to be friendly here, but you're making this difficult. I didn't move. And you're trying to manufacture problems where none exist. I've accommodated your visit professionally and thoroughly. Now it's time to leave. Jason, who'd been silent throughout, suddenly spoke. Dad, maybe we should just let him. No, Jason, they're done. Henderson's smile was razor thin. Very well. Come on, Derek. Jason. They left. Through the window, I watched them get into Henderson's Mercedes. The three of them sat inside for several minutes, clearly arguing. Jason's body language was defeated. Then they drove away. Graham closed his laptop. Got everything, every word, every photo Derek took, every question Henderson asked. It's all documented. The DA's observer stepped forward. That was a blatant fishing expedition. He was looking for anything he could use as leverage. When he couldn't find it, his assistant tried to get back in for a second attempt. Textbook predatory behavior. Can we use this? I asked. If Henderson tries to file complaints or claims based on today's visit, we can prove he was searching for problems rather than conducting legitimate due diligence. It significantly weakens any case he might try to build. Graham added, and we now have evidence that Jason facilitated Henderson's access under false pretenses. If Henderson attempts anything criminal, Jason's complicity is documented. I felt no satisfaction, only cold determination. What happens now? Now we wait. Henderson will make his next move, and when he does, we'll be ready to counterstrike. Everyone left. I walked the facility alone, checking systems, talking to evening shift workers. Eddie found me near the loading docks. How'd it go, boss? Exactly as planned. Henderson found nothing because there's nothing to find. What's he going to do now? Something desperate, which means something stupid. And when he does, I'll end him. Eddie nodded. We got your back, boss. All of us. I drove home as sunset painted the sky orange and red. My phone rang. Jason. Dad, I need to tell you something. Henderson's furious. He says you embarrassed him. He says... Jason's voice dropped. He says he's going to destroy you, and me, both of us. He has a plan. I don't know what it is, but he's planning something big. When? Soon. Maybe tonight. Maybe tomorrow. He wouldn't tell me specifics. Dad, I'm scared. I think I made a terrible mistake. You made several terrible mistakes, Jason. The question is whether you're ready to fix them. I don't know how. Tell me everything Henderson said. Every word, every detail. Jason talked for 20 minutes. When he finished, I had enough. Enough to know Henderson's next move. Enough to prepare the final trap. Enough to finish this. Jason, go home. Lock your doors. Don't talk to Henderson again. I'll handle it from here. What are you going to do? Whatever's necessary. I hung up and called Graham. It's happening tonight, I said. Henderson's making his final move, and we're going to be ready. Graham arrived at my house within 30 minutes, carrying 2 laptops and a briefcase full of documents. Tell me everything, he said. I repeated what Jason had told me. Henderson's rage, his threats, his plan for something big. Graham pulled up security feeds from the plant on his laptop. If he's moving tonight, he'll try to break into the facility, create actual damage, or plant false evidence. Then we go to the plant. Now, set up and wait for him. We drove to the plant separately. I parked my truck behind the administrative building, hidden from the main entrance. Graham parked near the back gate. Inside the security office, I pulled up camera feeds on the main monitor, 8 screens showing every angle of the facility. Graham sat beside me, his phone in hand, ready to call 911. 9 p.m. Nothing. 10 p.m. Still quiet. At 10:40, headlights appeared at the perimeter fence. A dark SUV stopped at the maintenance gate. 2 figures emerged, both wearing dark clothes and carrying backpacks. There, I said, zooming the camera. That's Derek. Who's the other one? Don't know, but they're both trespassing. Graham dialed. Police, please. Break-in in progress. Sinclair Agro Solutions, 1847 Industrial Parkway. 2 suspects cutting through the fence. We have them on camera. He listened. Yes, we're on site in the security office. Send units immediately. On screen, Derek and his companion cut through the chain-link fence with bolt cutters. They slipped through and headed directly toward processing area 3. They're going for the ventilation system, I said. We watched them force open a service door and disappear inside. Interior cameras showed them reaching the ventilation system. Derek pulled out tools, started dismantling access panels, then pulled out a camera, filming the equipment from multiple angles. Manufacturing false evidence, Graham said. Derek's companion pulled out spray paint, started marking the walls with fake hazard symbols. They're literally creating fake violations, I breathed. Red and blue lights flashed through the windows. Derek and his companion saw the police lights. Panic. They grabbed their bags and ran. But I'd locked down the facility remotely. Every door sealed. They hit the exit door, locked. Derek tried to force it. Police entered from the main entrance. Through the cameras, we watched Derek try climbing a storage rack to reach a high window. He lost his grip, fell 15 feet onto concrete. He didn't move. His companion immediately surrendered. Hands up. Paramedics arrived. Derek was loaded onto a stretcher, clearly injured but conscious. Graham and I left the security office and met the police outside. I showed them the camera footage of everything. The lead officer, Sergeant Williams, shook his head. This is corporate espionage, felony vandalism. These guys are facing serious charges. The man who hired them is Brock Henderson, I said. He's been targeting my company for weeks. You have proof? Phone records, financial documents. My attorney has everything. Williams nodded. We'll need all of that. Derek's companion, identified as Marcus Webb Otuk, was in custody, confessing everything about Henderson's instructions, the payment, the specific sabotage plan. At 1 a.m., Williams approached me. Mr. Sinclair, we're issuing a warrant for Brock Henderson's arrest. He's going down. At 2 a.m., I finally went home. Graham called me at 6 a.m. Henderson's in custody, arrested at his home. The evidence is overwhelming. What about Jason? He facilitated Henderson's initial access, but there is no evidence he knew about tonight's break-in. Prosecutors are treating him as a victim of manipulation. Jason's still liable for his debts to Henderson. Henderson will use those debts as leverage, pressure him to testify in Henderson's favor. Then we need to break Henderson first. We already did. He's facing 20 years. Not enough. I want him destroyed completely. Financially, professionally, personally. Graham was quiet. That's cold, Joseph. He tried to destroy my company. He used my son as a weapon. Cold doesn't begin to cover what I feel. What do you want to do? Sue him. Massive civil suit. Bankrupt him. At 9 a.m., I called Jason. Dad? He sounded terrible. Henderson's in custody, arrested for last night's break-in. Silence. Then, I didn't know, I swear. I believe you, but Henderson's going to try using you. You need to protect yourself. Get your own attorney, someone who can negotiate immunity in exchange for testimony. I can't afford an attorney. I'll pay for it. One time, last time, but you do exactly what they say. Understood? Yes, Dad, I'm sorry. Save it. Just fix this. At noon, Graham called. Henderson's attorney is requesting bail, $2 million. Will they get it? Probably. He has resources and lawyers. File the civil suit today. Freeze his assets before he can hide them. Already drafted. I'll file this afternoon. At 5 p.m., Graham texted, civil suit filed. $35 million in damages. Henderson's account's frozen. His attorney is furious. I read the message twice. $35 million would tie Henderson up legally for years, drain his resources, destroy his reputation, exactly what he'd tried to do to me. The story hit regional news at 6 a.m. By noon, my phone was flooded with calls from reporters. I ignored them all and went to the plant. Eddie met me at the door. "Boss, media's been calling." I told them no comment. "Good. How's the team?" "Proud. Everyone knows you protected the company." At 10 a.m., Graham called. "Henderson's bail hearing is this afternoon. Want to attend?" "Yes." The courthouse was downtown. Henderson sat at the defense table looking expensive and cornered. The prosecutor presented evidence. The break-in footage, Webb's testimony, financial records, phone records. The judge listened carefully. "Mr. Henderson, you're charged with serious crimes involving premeditation and financial motivation. Bail is set at $5 million. Next hearing in 30 days. Henderson's face went white. That afternoon, Piper called. "I saw the news. The civil suit is aggressive. He tried to destroy me. I'm returning the favor." "What about Jason?" "What about him?" "Joseph, he's still your son, whatever anger you feel." "My anger is justified." "I'm not saying it isn't, but don't close the door completely." We hung up. At 4 p.m., Jason called. "Dad, I hired an attorney. Like you said, he's negotiating with the DA. They want me to testify against Henderson." "And?" "I will. I'll tell them everything. But Dad, Melanie left me, went to her parents' house. The baby's due in 6 weeks, and she won't talk to me." I felt nothing. "Jason, that's between you and her." "I know. I just needed to tell someone." "Focus on the testimony." 2 weeks passed. Webb testified, confirming everything. Henderson's attorney tried to discredit him, but the physical evidence was overwhelming. Henderson's empire began collapsing. His portfolio companies filed for bankruptcy. Investors pulled out. His reputation was radioactive. One afternoon, Jason appeared at the plant. "Dad, I testified yesterday. Federal grand jury. They indicted Henderson on 14 counts. I'm clear. Immunity deal went through." "Congratulations." "That's it? What do you want me to say?" "I helped put away the man who tried to destroy you, and you're acting like I reported the weather. I studied him. You didn't do it for me. You did it to save yourself." His face crumpled. "You're right. I've lost everything, Dad. My business, my house, my marriage. I have nothing left except a baby coming in 3 weeks." "That's between you and her." "I know it's my fault. All of it. But Dad, please. I just need to know my father doesn't hate me." The words hung in the air. "I don't hate you," I said quietly. "But I don't trust you. And trust isn't something you get back easily. I'll earn it, however long it takes. We'll see." He paused at the door. "Henderson's planning something. His attorney contacted me, wanted me to recant my testimony, said Henderson would make it worth my while." "What did you say?" "I told him to go to hell. But Dad, Henderson's desperate. Watch yourself." He left. 3 days later, Eddie called me at home at 10 p.m. "Boss, you need to get to the plant. Henderson's outside the fence, just sitting in his car. Has been for an hour." I called Graham. "Meet me at the plant. Henderson's there." "I'm calling the police." I drove to the plant. Saw Henderson's Mercedes parked across the street, engine running. Henderson sat in the driver's seat, staring at the facility. I walked toward him. He saw me coming, stepped out of the car. We faced each other across the empty street. "Joseph Sinclair," Henderson said. His voice was hollow. "The man who destroyed me." "You destroyed yourself. You think you've won?" "I know I have." "You haven't seen the real move yet." Police sirens in the distance. Henderson pulled out his phone, held it up. A video call, live feed, Jason's house. Jason stood in the driveway, hands lifted, facing 3 men I didn't recognize. A chill shot through me. "They're just there to deliver a message," Henderson said. "Jason signs the debt transfer papers, or they stop being polite." "That's not legal." "Doesn't matter. He'll sign because the alternative is worse." Police cars screeched into the parking lot. Officers emerged, weapons drawn. "Step away from each other, hands visible." Henderson dropped his phone and raised his hands. "You wanted war, Sinclair. You got it." I grabbed Henderson's phone. The video call was still active. One of the men at Jason's house punched Jason in the stomach. Jason went down. "Jason!" I shouted. The screen went black. Police surrounded Henderson. He smiled at me as they cuffed him. "You can't protect everyone, Joseph." I dialed 911. "Emergency. Home invasion. 847 Maple Street. My son is being attacked. Send units now." Graham arrived. What happened? Henderson has men at Jason's house. This is witness intimidation, assault, conspiracy. I got in my truck, drove to Jason's house, going 70 in a 35 zone. When I reached Maple Street, the house was lit up with police cars and an ambulance. I ran toward the scene. Jason sat on the back of an ambulance, ice pack pressed to his face. Dad, are you all right? Bruised ribs, black eye, but okay. They wanted me scared. It worked. Did they make you sign anything? No, I told them I'd report forgery. They left before police arrived. A detective approached. Mr. Sinclair? Detective Hayes? Your son's statement indicates this was coordinated by Brock Henderson. Henderson showed me a live video of the attack, threatened to hurt Jason if he didn't sign documents. Hayes' expression hardened. That's kidnapping, assault, witness intimidation, and extortion. Henderson's done. An hour later, everything was documented. Hayes shook my hand. Henderson's facing life now. Between the original charges and tonight's actions, no judge will show leniency. Jason and I sat on his porch. Dawn was starting to break. I should have listened to you from the beginning, Jason said quietly. You see it now? Yeah. Too late, but yeah. My phone rang. Graham. Joseph, Henderson's in federal custody. Upgraded charges. He's looking at 25 years minimum. Good. His attorney wants to settle the civil suit. Henderson's offering everything: full asset liquidation, public apology, permanent restraining order. How much? $18 million. Everything he has left? Tell his attorney I'll take $15 million. But Henderson personally apologizes in writing, admits all wrongdoing, and agrees to never work in business again. That's brutal. That's justice. I hung up and looked at Jason. It's over. Henderson's finished. The company's safe. You're safe. Jason exhaled slowly. What now? Now you figure out who you want to be. I don't know. Then you have work to do. 3 days later, Henderson signed the settlement. $15 million transferred. Written apology published. Criminal trial scheduled. I sat in my study one evening, bourbon in hand. I'd won. My phone buzzed. Text from Eddie. Boss, heard Henderson pled guilty today. Took 20 years to avoid trial. I read it twice. 20 years. Henderson would be 65 when he got out. Elderly, broken, forgotten. I raised my glass to the empty room. To the final account.